Hi John, welcome here at UW. I'm glad you're here. You're, someone who works with a variety of students, with a variety of learning pathways at the University of Chester, and you're very much an expert on work-based learning. So my question is, what is work-based learning?
The answer is that there are lots of things called work-based learning and lots of understandings of what work-based learning is. One of the things which concerns us is that some private companies use it as a term, a marketing term, without really understanding what it's about. In the sense that we understand it and we use it in Chester and other universities similar to ourselves, what it means is that we have a learning framework, a pre-validated degree framework, which enables students as individual learners and companies in cohorts to devise learning which is completely relevant to their needs. And it means that students can negotiate their own award title, their own program of learning, whether they want a full degree or a short program, and their own curriculum, completely tailored to their specific requirements for learning in the workplace.
What's the role of universities in there? That sounds very, very, how would you say, not only dramatic, but a bit provocative for universities.
I think you have to understand that universities have an organising principle based around the idea of instruction in subject discipline and research in subject discipline. And the approach that we have turns that on its head, because we don't start from the assumption of subject discipline, we start from the trying to understand the needs of the learner and meeting those needs. So for universities, this is a challenge. It's a challenge for the tutor, because you are no longer the expert, the sage on the stage, as we say. You are now someone who has to facilitate the learning of an individual. And that means that you have to be very interested in learning as opposed to necessarily subject. You have to be interested in the person in front of you and not interested in telling them about something you happen to know about. And you have to be somebody who's prepared to learn along with the student, because the myriad requirements for learning and knowledge in the workplace are not things that you'll always be familiar with, as well, of course, as bringing to bear the expertise and the knowledge that we have in higher education about generic subjects, but also our knowledge of how higher education works and translating the need of the individual into something that's relevant for higher education.
And what would you therefore recommend to look at, or what to be aware of?
I think the truth is, it is enormously challenging for universities to introduce this style of learning. It's a challenge at all levels. There's institutional resistance because universities are very bureaucratic organisations. They are used to processing students in a very standard way. They're not used to students starting when it suits them, learning at times and places that suit them, submitting assignments in ways that suit them. So you are talking about a bespoke approach to learning which is bespoke, it's tailored in an organisation which it's almost like a car factory, a university. It takes students in at a certain time, it delivers in a standard way, it processes, it assesses it in a standard way at certain times. So there are problems in terms of universities understanding this approach to learning, and then there are great difficulties in the universities understanding and coming to terms with the administrative arrangements. We as tutors have to be like business people. We have to be people interested in learning, and we have to be people who can deal with the university and we have to it's a fight sometimes. So I wouldn't pretend it's an easy thing to do. What I would say is the way that the world has changed is changing. The new occupations which are arising, the requirement for lifelong learning is, I think it's essential that universities do change and meet that challenge and don't sit in their comfort zone of what they know and assume that this is always going to be relevant, because the world is changing very, very fast and universities have to change with it.
I think this is a very nice word for the end. So we are in a big change process, and let's see how far also German universities come with that. Thanks a lot.